Welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties. I don't know. The internet was acting really weird towards the end there. Towards the end of my work there, but it's all good. It seems to be stable. It seems to be okay. So we'll go from here. Wolfglen, Cosmic Seekin, how's it going? Good afternoon, Alio. How's it going, everybody? Welcome. Jinked yourself with that username? What are you talking about? Clinically Insane, how's it going? Howdy, howdy. Notification just arrived. Well, kind of just, I guess in time, as we're just starting. The truth is difficult. Yeah, it is. Alright, folks, given my limited time, we're gonna try to get through as much of these stories as possible. Technical difficulties, yeah. A bad pun? Alright, well, you get one of these. Are you not glad that you're not Alex Jones? Well, I don't perpetuate nonsense to find myself in a nearly $1 billion lawsuit. We'll be talking about that. Alright, folks, we gotta try to get this show on the road as quickly as possible. Folks, before we get everything going, excuse me. Before we get everything going, if you haven't already, do me a favor. Go on the YouTube channel. Hit the big red subscribe button. It really does help us out. It takes 5 seconds, I promise. Alright, folks. Let's get this show started. Fine Trump $1 billion in Trump rallies would finally be accurate. I don't know what that means. Meaning like the crowd size? No. Though there's some of those folks will always just be Trump loyalists. Alright, let's start off with this one. Georgia Senate race unchanged after Walker abortion report. A new survey indicates that the Georgia race between Raphael Warnock and his Republican challenger Herschel Walker is largely holding steady amid reports that the former football star pressured a former girlfriend into getting an abortion, which he also paid for. A Quinnipiac University poll released on Wednesday showed Warnock leading Walker by 7 points, 52-45. That's an okay lead. That's not a bad lead. That's not a bad lead, but it needs to be bigger. The Daily Beast reported last week that a woman said Walker reimbursed her for an abortion after she became pregnant with his child. Walker has faced criticism for hypocrisy since he's running on a platform staunchly opposed to allowing abortion and not supporting any exceptions. Right. That's the issue. The Daily Beast later reported that the woman is the mother of one of Walker's children, and the New York Times reported on Friday that Walker had urged her to get an abortion for that pregnancy too, which the woman refused. Jeez. All right, let me make sure we're good. Yeah, okay. I think this is fine. All right. The Washington Post reported on Tuesday that the woman had repeatedly urged Walker to provide her the money to have the abortion she had in 2009. Walker has denied these allegations, claiming he first learned who the woman was on Friday and that she never mentioned having an abortion. That's interesting. So where did those signed get well cards come from? What about the signed check? Where did that come from? I guess Herschel doesn't remember doing that. That's interesting. The Quinnipiac survey showed Warnock with a comfortable 15-point lead among independents. Oh, that's huge, actually. That's where the money is. If he has such a big lead with independents, like a 15-point lead, that might be enough. That might be enough to lock in that win. It looks like it's going to be comfortable, if that's the case, for Senator Warnock. Warnock, a pastor of an Atlanta church, also outperforms Walker in favorability ratings. The incumbent is viewed favorably by 50% of respondents, unfavorably by 44%, while Walker is viewed favorably 39% to unfavorably 55%. A majority of respondents also said that Warnock is honest, has good leadership skills, and cares about the average Georgians. Most respondents said Walker is not honest, obviously, because he's not. This guy repeatedly lies basically about everything and anything, even things he doesn't really need to lie about. Okay. And he does not care about average Georgians. True. I don't think he does. With time running out to get the metaphorical goal line of November 8th, and despite repeated penalty flags flying at his honest and integrity, Herschel Walker's down by 7 in the fourth quarter, and so, Jesus Christ. What? Does that really need to be said this way? Okay. The poll was conducted October 7 to 10 after the report surrounding Walker came out. Among 1,157 likely voters, the margin of error was 2.9 points. A recent Atlanta Journal-Constitution and Georgia News collaborative poll found Warnock was leading by 3 points. 1 second, folks. One second. this guy. Say hello. Here. Ugh. Sorry, folks. We had a little buddy intrusion. Hold on, folks. Sorry about that, folks. I heard Alex Jones has been... Jeez. Has been ordered to pay over $1 billion? No, I think it's right under it. I think it's right under $1 billion. I'm not sure. Might be just over $1 billion. I mean, sorry, might be just under $1 billion. So there you have it, folks. Despite the fact that more lies and hypocrisy has been exposed, it seems like the poll numbers didn't really shift much. Sad. Alright, folks. Switching gears, kind of putting an update, circling back, I guess, to the Kanye story. Not only has like Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro run defense for this unacceptable anti-Semitic behavior, but apparently Fox News, Tucker Carlson has attempted to hide or not publish some of the outtakes that happened during his interview. Let's take a look.
Some outtakes released from this stunning interview that Kanye West did with Fox News propagandist Tucker Carlson that are so insane and so anti-Semitic that they raise a whole new series of questions about Kanye's seeming obsession with the Jews, or Jew as he sometimes refers to them. This is super interesting. So over the last week, there's been a lot happening with a musical artist, Kanye West, wherein he showed up in Europe with a White Lives Matter shirt.
Yep. Okay, I don't...
Carlson and ended up getting saying, I think Diddy is controlled by Jews and all this different stuff. Vice's Motherboard, that's the source for these clips, has now uncovered, and they are absolutely and utterly insane.
Tucker
And
needs
we're
a rating
going to
bump
look
away from
at a
Russia.
couple of
True.
these. And what I want to mention to people is, I think my audience mostly knows I'm Jewish. I have had experiences with anti-Semites of every flavor. Casual anti-Semites who just unthinkingly have attached themselves to the very easy tropes, oh, Jews are cheap. That's one I dealt with other employees when I worked at Circuit City. I've recently tweeted about that. There's also the sort of more conspiratorial people about an elitist cabal, Bilderberg, Rothschild, this sort of stuff. Then there's also the Black Israelites, which we're going to get into in a moment. There's all sorts of these different flavors, and some people are just obsessed with Jews. They look at Jews as the sole cause of everything that is bad on our planet. Okay, let's get into the first clip. This is an outtake, okay? Kanye says that the founder of Planned Parenthood created Planned Parenthood with the KKK to control the Jew population. And again, this one, you could say this one is not overtly anti-Semitic, but it's all part of the obsession with Jews. Check this out. Let's go to the first one.
Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics, with the KKK to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the people known as the race Black really are. This is who.
Yeah, so this is some Black Israelite shit. So basically what he's insinuating is that essentially he's JQing, if you want to put it that way. He's JQing. The Jews are behind, the eradication of, the black race, I guess, in this case, because they're the true Jewish people. I don't. It doesn't make sense.
Who our people are.
Yeah, this is super confusing. So try to follow along.
The blood of Christ. This, as a Christian, is my belief, and I believe that if we saw ourselves as more.
Yeah. So, first of all, Margaret Sanger, early sort of women's rights and family planning advocate, was Jewish, as far as my research reveals. So the idea that she wanted to control the Jew population, I don't really know what Kanye means. Control it by lowering it or boosting it. I don't know. This is all completely bonkers. Now, when Kanye talks about the race Black are the real Jews, I know some in my audience already know about this and some don't. There is a movement called the Black Israelites or the Hebrew Israelites. It is a movement that goes back to the late 1800s where some mostly Pentecostal Black Christians started to claim that in a revelation they learned they were the true Hebrews. You can find examples of the term Hebrews, Israelites, the real Jews, whatever.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, this is a pretty racist movement in the modern day. They claim that Jews are sort of devilish imposters and that the real Jews are Black folks. Okay. Let's leave it there. There was another clip in which Kanye used a weird metaphor and then brings up the Jews again in the metaphor and then asks for it to be cut from the interview, to which you'll notice Tucker Carlson says, done. When Kanye says, I want that cut out, Tucker says, done. This also is interesting because it exposes that more than likely part of the agreement for this interview was Kanye has sort of like final edit and can ask for anything to be cut. How common that is on Tucker Carlson's show, I don't know. I've never given that to anybody on our program.
Exactly what our culture is based on. Think about us judging each other on how white we could talk would be like, a Jewish person judging another Jewish person on how good they danced or something. I mean, That's probably like a bad example when people are going to get mad at that shit. But another thing that
totally
they do,
normal.
That I probably want to edit that out. Probably not like that.
Done. Tucker says, consider it done, Kanye. You're producing here.
Okay, so, I was talking to Ice Cube today, and we got really beat up in 2020 for saying we need to approach things a different way and not just be trauma drunk, right? Which is a term that got.
Okay, so again, the example he tries to go to is something about Jews, obsessed with Jews, realizes it's going nowhere, and then asks for it to be cut out. Small note here, Kanye did say during the interview that he's vaccinated. That was cut out from the final cut that aired. I don't think that was Kanye's request. That seems to be a Fox News decision.
Every day we've been killing each other in the streets every day. One of the amazing things with Mayor Suarez is the murder rate has gone down. And yeah, I mean, you set that question up. You have more information about about what happened in the hospitals. So, in all honesty, I don't have the most facts, as many facts.
No, I mean in your life, like
so I might have
the
deflected.
COVID vaccine, the being stuck inside. Like, what did you think?
It's not weird. I've had Nazis here. It's not weird, trust me. Certain words I've had to moderate or click on auto mod because Nazis.
Think of all that. I was vaccinated. It was interesting. A friend of mine told.
So I was vaccinated was removed from the final cut. And then lastly here, just again, the continued obsession with Jewish people. And in this one, he does the sort of like money trope where he says he would rather his kids know about Hanukkah rather than Kwanzaa because it'll come with some financial engineering. And again, this is the idea that Jews...
It's not really. It's not really. The reason that happened, I just explained to you, was because Nazis kept coming in here and making anti-Semitic stuff. So I've had to course correct.
Control the financial system, and this is one of the oldest anti-Semitic claims around, and Kanye's full in on it. Listen to how casually he mentions this too.
Biting my tongue on my political opinion because I thought it would be better for my children. And now you look up and my kids are going to a school that teaches black kids a complicated Kwanzaa. I prefer my kids knew Hanukkah than Kwanzaa. At least it will come with some financial engineering. Kwanzaa doesn't, you know.
Financial engineering.
So, and by the way, I can tell you, at Hanukkah, nobody talks to you about IRAs or compounding interest. It's not where I ever learned about that stuff. He's obsessed with Jewish people. And I have seen people like this. There are folks who get fixated on particular things. And sometimes it's, the hammer that turns everything into a nail for them is Jews. Sometimes it's, the Trilateral Commission. Sometimes it's geoengineering or control through fluoride in the water system or whatever the case may be. Fox News has sort of backed off with a number of segments in the last 24 hours saying the White Lives Matter thing is interesting, but all the anti-Semitic tweets, that's too far. Maria Bartiromo, for example, and others. And they're chalking this up to mental illness. And again, sure, mental illness can be a factor, but most mentally ill people don't become obsessed with the Jews. Really bonkers stuff from Kanye. And I find it all to become...
Even like just, admitting or acknowledging that Kanye West does have a mental illness, this doesn't excuse what he's saying. We have to assign some agency here at some point. And even if it's true, even if it's the case that somebody's mentally ill, it doesn't make you anti-Semitic, my dude. Apart from losing his mind online and being a complete buffoon, nothing. People need better heroes. True, but I think that he's clearly he knows what he's doing. And at some point, like I would say again, he has to be held responsible for these words.
Completely horrible. I've seen several people in my life try to quit smoking.
All right, cool. Very interesting outtakes. Just to kind of wrap up that story. How's it going, James? So I guess we should go over the Alex Jones thing. Jury decides conspiracy theorists Alex Jones should pay nearly $1 billion in damages to Sandy Hook families for his lies about the school massacre. Far-right talk show host Alex Jones should pay 8 families of Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting victims and 1 first responder $965 million in compensatory damage, a Connecticut jury decided on Wednesday, capping a wrenching weeks-long trial that put on display the serious harm inflicted by the conspiracy theorist lies. With its punishing award, the decision could shrink or even doom Jones's InfoWar media empire. Oh well. Which has been at the center of major conspiracy theories dating back from former President George W. Bush's administration and was embraced by President Trump. The plaintiffs and their attorneys were visibly emotional when the jury's decision were read. The decision marks a key moment in the years-long process that began in 2018 when the families took legal action against Jones and his company, Free Speech Systems, the parent of the fringe media organization InfoWars. Jones baselessly said again and again after the 2012 mass shooting in which 26 kids, were killed, that the incident was staged and the families and first responders were, quote, crisis actors. The plaintiffs throughout the trial described in poignant terms how the lies had prompted unrelenting harassment against them and compounded the emotional agony of losing their loved ones. Plaintiffs in the trial included family members of 8 school students and employees, in addition to 1 FBI agent who responded to the scene. The 3 cases were all condensed into the single trial. I also want to bring up something. Okay. Plaintiffs in the trial. Oh, yeah. Okay. Jones was not in the courtroom for the verdict. He was streaming live when the jury's decision. Wow, dude. Can you imagine? Like, you're about to have the verdict of quite possibly the biggest case of your life. And you're unironically streaming? Wow, dude. He was streaming live and the jury's decision was read in court, mocked the decision on his InfoWars show, and used it to fundraise. Amazing. Yeah, this guy needs to be kicked off completely. And I hope that him having to pay all that money will bankrupt him so that we don't have to hear about him again. It's unclear when or how much of the money the plaintiffs will ultimately see. Jones has said that he will appeal the decision during his Wednesday broadcast and said that there's, quote, ain't no money to pay the massive figure the jury awarded the plaintiffs. Well, I mean, we could start by, dismantling that media empire of yours and seeing where some of those coins might be. Christopher Matai, an attorney for the plaintiffs, had urged jurors to award at least $500 million for having permanently mangled the lives of its clients. The figure, he said, would represent more than 550 million online impressions Jones's Sandy Hook lie allegedly received online. Ooh. Sorry, folks. I am very tired. You may say that's astronomical, and it is. It's exactly what Alex Jones set himself up to do. That's what he built. He built a lie machine that could push this stuff out, and you reap what you sow. True! Matei praised the jurors after the verdict was reached. The jury's verdict is a testament to that courage and a resounding affirmation that the people of goodwill, dedicated to the truth, mindful of their responsibilities to their fellow citizens, can come together to protect the innocent, to reveal lies masquerading as truth, and to set right a historic wrong. The decision in Connecticut comes 2 months after a separate jury in Texas determined that Jones and his company should award 2 Sandy Hook parents who sued in that state nearly $50 million. Later this month, the judge in that case will consider whether to reduce the punitive damages awarded under Texas law. While Jones initially lied about the 2012 shooting, he later acknowledged that the massacre had occurred as he faced multiple lawsuits. Too late, my friend. Too late. But he failed to comply with the court orders during the discovery process of the lawsuit in Connecticut and Texas, leading the families in each state to win default judgments against him. During the latest trial, families of the Sandy Hook victims offered emotional testimony telling the jury in haunting terms how Jones' lies about the shooting had permanently altered their lives and compounded the pain of losing their loved ones. Jones, who was cross-examined by the plaintiff attorneys but chose not to testify in his own defense as originally was planned, sought to portray himself as a victim of an elaborate deep state conspiracy against him. Jesus. In a particularly explosive moment in their trial, Jones tangled with an attorney for the plaintiffs, accusing him of ambulance chasing before descending into an unhinged rant in court about, quote, liberals. The judge overseeing the case admonished Jones several times during his testimony, warning him even at one point that he could be held in contempt of court if he violated her rules moving forward. Jones has attacked the judicial process, even acknowledged in court that he had referred to the proceedings as those of a, quote, kangaroo court, and called the judge a tyrant. He's already indicated that he plans to appeal. On what grounds, my dude? On what grounds? Honestly, I hope, like... I hope this buries him. I hope this buries him. So to piggyback off this, Charlie Kirk commenting, this isn't, quote, calculating real damages from Alex Jones. This is about sending a message. If you upset the, quote, regime, what is the regime? They will destroy you completely and utterly forever. But who's the regime? Like, and people actually like this. Who is the regime? This has nothing to do with anything except Alex Jones, coming to terms with the consequences of his actions. That's it. This has nothing to do with a regime. I don't know who the regime is. Ground Level News, how's it going? He said the whole thing was fake, like fake degrees and 401ks. Ha! Well, how about almost $1 billion for fake? Kirk providing cover for Sandy Hook now? Of course, because he's Charlie Kirk and all these conservatives are fucking pieces of shit. Just like Alex Jones. You're trying to make this something like, what, the government's behind this? What are you talking about? Who is the regime? This has nothing to do with anything. If Alex Jones owes $1 billion for saying mean things on his show, which they aren't mean things, they are defamatory, hurtful, and have opened the door for endless harassment to these people. Not only that, he sought to profit from this. It's not just mean things, okay? How much should the propagandists at CNN see? Like, this is whataboutism, because like he's not actually addressing the point here. It doesn't matter what he says from this point on. This is whataboutism. The New York Times paid to tell the to all the Americans they pressure to inject their kids, saying it would prevent transmission to grandma. Oh, so this is like some vaccine shit, some anti-vax shit. All right, cool. Anyways, whataboutism can't actually engage with the subject. Classic. I listened to Charlie Kirk. I've never heard him discuss state shootings, but opportunists will opportune, so the Sandy Hook parents are part of the regime. Yeah, I don't know what the regime is. This is a QAnon grift. It's, yeah, I mean, similar. I don't know who the regime is. I'm assuming that he's trying to make some type of connection with the Biden administration. If you upset the Biden administration, they'll come after you and sue you. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But I'm sure somebody somewhere gets the dog whistle, I guess. Anyways. Get effed, Alex Jones. And I seriously hope that this just destroys his media empire so that he's unable to operate anymore. Fuck this guy, honestly. And I hope it sets up a good precedent to those who want to emulate him. I hope they lock him up for non-payment. I don't know how that works, my friend. I don't. I don't know how that works, but nonetheless, if it means that he'll never be able to operate his business ever again, then yeah, cool. So be it. Get effed. Don't care. No sympathy. It honestly should have been more. In the UK, if you don't pay your fines, you get locked up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the stipulation is if you don't pay here. I think, you can declare, I don't know, bankruptcy, or they'll start garnishing. I don't know how this works. Alex Jones is so that even right-wing billionaires won't fund him, I hope. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know. Alex Jones seems pretty timid in comparison to the modern day Republican Party. Speaking of which, Trump must sit for deposition in lawsuit brought by rape accuser John Carroll. Donald Trump will have to answer questions under oath next week in a defamation lawsuit lodged by a writer who said he raped her in the mid-90s, a judge ruled on Wednesday. U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan rejected a request by Trump's lawyer that the planned testimony be delayed. The deposition is now scheduled for 19th of October. The decision came in a lawsuit brought by Jean Carroll, a longtime advice columnist for Elle magazine, who says Trump raped her in an upscale Manhattan department store dressing room. Trump has denied it, and Carroll is scheduled to be deposed on Friday. Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, said in a statement, "We look forward to establishing on the record that this case is and always has been entirely without merit." Robert Kaplan, Carroll's attorney, said she was pleased with the ruling and looked forward to filing the new claims next month and moving forward to trial with all dispatch. Trump's legal team has tried various legal tactics to delay the lawsuit and prevent him from being questioned by Carroll's attorneys. That's kind of strange. Why? I mean, he didn't do it, right? He didn't do anything. Why wouldn't his attorneys try to shield him from, making statements under oath? That's kind of interesting. But Judge Kaplan wrote that it was time to move forward, especially given the advanced age of Carroll, 78, and Trump, 76, perhaps other witnesses. The defendant should not be permitted to run the clock out on plaintiff's attempt to gain a remedy for what allegedly was a serious wrong. Carroll's lawsuit claims that Trump damaged her reputation in 2019 when he denied raping her. Trump's legal team has been trying to quash this suit by arguing that the Republican was just doing its job as president when he denied the allegations, including when he dismissed his accuser as, quote, "not my type." Jesus. So I mean, if your response to hey, did you rape so and so, and your response is, quote, "not my type," massive red flags, super huge self-report, because that's implying that you do have a type that you would rape. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this guy's gross. That's a key question because if Trump was acting within the scope of his duty as a federal employee, the U.S. government would become the defendant in this case. He doesn't need to be fined. He needs to be investigated. These investigations into his criminality needs to continue. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals said in a split decision last month that Trump was a federal employee when he commented on Carroll's claims, but it asked another court in Washington to decide whether Trump's public statement occurred during the scope of his employment. Kaplan, the judge, said Trump has repeatedly tried to delay the collection of evidence in the lawsuit, which again, why? That's kind of weird. Shouldn't you want evidence to exonerate you? Like, you want evidence collection because you did nothing wrong, so everything should be in your favor, right? Right? As this court previously has observed, Mr. Trump has litigated this case since it began in 2019 with the effect and probably the purpose of delaying it. The judge noted that the collection of evidence for the lawsuit to go to trial was virtually concluded except for the depositions of Trump and Carroll. Mr. Trump has conducted extensive discovery of the plaintiff, yet produced virtually none himself. Kaplan said, completing these depositions, which have already been delayed for years, would impose no undue burden on Mr. Trump, let alone any irreparable jury injury. The judge also said the deposition could be useful when Carroll's lawyer next month files a new lawsuit under New York's revival law, the Adult Survivors Act, allowing her to sue for damages for the alleged rape without the statute of limitations blocking it. Whether the rape occurred is central to the defamation claims as well as the anticipated new lawsuit. I mean, if there's like evidence that comes out in these civil cases to show that this dude actually indeed raped her, then wow. Wow. And you can bet money that people will still support this guy. Like, if tomorrow we find out that he really did rape this person, you best believe that Republicans will still be behind him. Once again, I would like to draw your attention to their response to did you rape Jean Carroll? Not my type. What a disgusting human being. If Trump delays it, he may get back to be president and pardon himself. No, that's not how that works. I don't think that's how that works. I don't think you can pardon yourself, and I don't think that this applies for civil cases. So all right, folks. You can probably pardon yourself if you stack the Supreme Court. No, not even. I like the profile picture. That's a great profile picture. Welcome. All right. Tulsi Gabbard, professional clown, says she's no longer a Democrat. Surprise. Surprise. Wow. Nobody saw this coming, folks. Nobody. Except everybody. One-time Democratic presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard said she's no longer a Democrat following a long-running speculation about her political allegiance. The former Democratic member of Congress said on Tuesday she was leaving the party when she attempted to represent as a president, eventually being beaten by Joe Biden for the 2020 nomination. Ms. Gabbard issued a lengthy statement on Tuesday decrying what she has dubbed a, quote, elitist cabal, yikes, elitist cabal, interesting, of warmongers driven by cowardly wokeness, as opposed to the Republicans, who are also warmongers, but they are driven by something else. Yeah, no principles, this person whatsoever. Tulsi Gabbard has no principles except what gets her paid. In remarks not dissimilar to Republican attack lines on Mr. Biden, because she is a Republican, she's a conservative. Reasons cited by Ms. Gabbard for her departure included U.S. President border policy, which is completely indistinguishable from Republican rhetoric, and Democrat ideology, which I don't know what that means, as well as so-called hostility to people of faith and spirituality. What does that mean? As well as the alleged demonization of the police. Again, these are all just straight up Republican talking points. I wonder what Jimmy Dore has to say about this. Has Jimmy Dore even commented on this? Because, like, we are talking about this on the Rational National, the Rational National Discord, and I would bet money Jimmy Dore would say something to the effect of, like, yeah, this is good. She is probably pro-life. I don't know. Yep, not a peep from Jimmy Dore. Well, we can look at the Twitter, I guess. Yep, not a single peep from Jimmy Dore. Wow. Why does that not say President Biden? I don't know. I don't know if it matters or not. She's vehemently anti-trans too. Did a pretty gross bit on Rogan. Nice too. Like the whole freaking all the checkboxes, all the freaking checkboxes. Wow. Surprise, surprise. Like, I wonder how all these people who thought like she was some type of progressive feel now. Not to like do the whole I told you so thing, but like, man, has long expressed support for law enforcement, however, particularly light in the attack of the blah, 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 blah. Okay, this has nothing to do with... Okay, Ms. Gabbard continued by alleging that today's Democratic Party also worked to, quote, weaponize the national security state to go after political opponents and, above all, dragging us even closer, ever closer to nuclear war. What does that mean? Weaponize the security state to go after political opponents. Can we get an example of how that what that looks like? By the way, Jimmy Dore is worse than I thought. Yeah, yeah, he is. We know that. Yes, I saw his comedy act, and he embraces all sorts of conspiracy theories, including the Clinton body count. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yes, Jimmy Dore is like, I mean, when people say that he's like the Alex Jones of the quote left, but like I use that it very loosely, because I don't think he's anything close to the left, and at least not by what his rhetoric talks about. I mean, like, does this look like does this look like a leftist channel, or does this look like Tim Pool? This is like indistinguishable from like Tim Pool's channel, right? Anyways, if she's talking about like the FBI raiding, the FBI exercising a search warrant on Trump, yeah, I don't know. I disavow. There's nothing leftist about this. Like, there's nothing lefty about any of this. Anyways. If she's talking about, if she's talking about how the FBI executed a search warrant at Donald Trump's like Mar-a-Lago estate, once again, you don't get FBI agents at your house if you didn't do anything sketchy, my dude. So like the alternative is again just to let Donald Trump get away with crimes. I thought she was supposed to be. She was just like complaining about the demonization of law enforcement. What are you talking about? And above all, dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Can we get an example of the Democratic Party dragging us ever closer to nuclear? Can we just like get a policy, a foreign policy decision, anything? Anyways. Okay, here's the video. Oh.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control.
And like how like lack of awareness does she have? What do you think the Republican Party is, right? What do you think the Republican Party is? Like, I swear, are these conservatives? Because like Tulsi Gabbard is, clearly, every like the quote of the year is every accusation is just a confession. What do you think the Republican Party is?
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control.
Under the complete control.
Elitist cabal of war.
As opposed to the Republican Party, who is under the complete control of an authoritarian fascist. Yeah, cool. Yeah, she's crossed the aisle to the GOP. She's basically a conservative. She hasn't like formally announced that she's going to join the Republican Party or not, but she's a conservative. Like, there's no ambiguity here. Like, there's no reason. She's been playing both sides for a while now, and she finally knows where she needs to go to get money to continue the grift.
Who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism,
Jesus.
Who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution.
How? What freedoms?
Who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality.
Honestly, what does that mean? Like, one of the most influential groups, like the Christians, they're the victims here? How does that work? What? She's like using like people of faith as like a euphemism for Christians. Whatever.
Who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans.
As opposed to you, who demonize the police or law enforcement for what? Executing a lawful search warrant? I mean, that doesn't work anymore. This whole like Democrats or anti police or whatever, that doesn't work anymore. That doesn't work. That doesn't work anymore.
Who believe in open borders, who...
Nobody believes in open borders in the Democratic Party. Like the actual party as a platform, not a single Democratic not a single Democratic person, elected official, leader has advocated for or put forth policies to create a quote open border. It's just nonsense. It's the same Republican garbage. The FBI certainly does hassle people over their politics and religion. You know, like socialists in the 50s and 60s, hippies in the 70s, Muslims in the 0 to 220s. It's so rare of them going after rich men, though, so you can be 100% sure they dotted their I's and crossed their T's. True? Well, that's actually not a bad point. Yes, that's true. That's very true.
Weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents.
And like, notice how she doesn't say anything in specific whatsoever. Nothing. Because like what she wants to say is like, yeah, the Democrat Party is going after Trump because politics. Okay, dude, whatever.
And above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war.
Again, what policy? What foreign policy?
Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it's...
Again, this is every accusation. Every accusation is just a confession, as the Republican Party does not believe in democratic norms whatsoever. They don't believe in elections. They're not really okay with this whole democracy thing. This is just more projection.
It stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can...
Does Putin bear any responsibility for the current nuclear scare? Like all of it? Yeah, he's the one that's making threats. Okay? Exactly. He's the one that's making threats. He's the one that has like... He's the aggressor in this situation. So I don't know what the heck she's talking about, unless she's like trying to run cover for him, which wouldn't surprise me.
No longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country.
What does that even
I invite
mean?
you to join me. I can no longer...
Jesus. Okay. Those remarks are an apparent reference to Republican criticism of the Justice Department investigation into President Trump. Yeah, like, but why can't she just say that? Why can't she just say that? He's holding nuclear power plants hostage. True. He's also shelled them, or shelled close to them. Yes. Tulsi sounds like Code Pink in this topic. Interesting. What is Code Pink? I don't know what that is. Tulsi kicks ass? Nah. She's a grifter. She's a grifter. How do you feel for falling for a vacuous grifter who just says whatever she needs to say to people like you to win support and money? How does that feel? How does that feel? Responding to the news on Twitter, many Democrats in political analysis expressed a lack of surprise. No way! Wow, everybody could see that coming. Tulsi's such a fraud and a shame on every progressive who tried to sell her as, quote, one of us, wrote political pundit Joanne Walsh of Miss Gabbard's comments on anti-white racism. Yeah, like, anybody who thought like she was any type of progressive, sorry. Quote, wait, you were a Democrat? Sure could have fooled me, said MSNBC host Katie Fang. Anyways, good memes. Surprise, surprise, she's just a Republican. She's just a conservative. Wow. All right. U.S. Treasury probing misuse of federal funds for DeSantis migrant flights. Really quick, Skeeter. Can you name an example of what she's pointed out? Okay, can you name an example of what that even means? Can you point to an example of her doing that? What is the freak show that is the modern Democratic Party? Can you name me, like, can you describe that to me? Oh, shoot. Okay, hold on. It's not about defending the Democratic Party. It's about the truth. And if you're going to believe something, you might want to back it up, right? If it's not true, if it's not true, then why are you saying it? Does that make sense, Army of Lime? It's the principle. DeSantis sending all the... I can't even understand. Like, I think those are words you're trying to type out. To Martha's Vineyard was the best political stunt ever. I believe that's ever. And I'm glad you recognize that it was just a political stunt. No substance. You're just happy that it was a political stunt. Imagine having this childish view. That this is what you count as like politics. You didn't answer my question. Can you name an example? Because you made a statement, right? And you seem pretty confident about that statement. And it's, I mean, you should be able to back it up, right? Quote, Tulsi points out the freak show that is the modern Democratic Party. Can you name me an example of what that looks like? Are you having trouble listening? Hello? Hello? Last time. Well, we'll try this again for the sake of patience. One more time. Quote, Tulsi points out the freak show that is the modern Democratic Party. Can you name an example of her doing that? And can you describe what that looks like? Alright, fuck off. Famous last words. Liberals seek to shut down speech they dislike. True! Famous last words. Goodbye, Skeet. No chud farming? No, they're not even answering the questions. They just keep like NPC, like they keep going down the NPC like dialogue tree without like responding to at least something so that I can keep riffing off that. So there's like no point in continuing. I gave them 3 opportunities to like at least attempt to answer the question so that we could try to go from there, but they couldn't even answer that. Nor were they willing to engage with that because obviously they don't have an example. They're just saying things to say things because it makes them feel good, because there's no politics, there's no logic here. It's all about the feels. Yeah, so we can't play if they're not willing to play ball with us back. Sad. They're not sending their best, folks. All right. Anyways, I don't know if we'll be able to go through this one actually. Damn. The U.S. Treasury is investigating whether Florida Governor DeSantis improperly used federal funds to pay for the flights of transporting migrants from Texas to Massachusetts. Department confirmed in a letter to U.S. lawmakers on Wednesday. We'll find out if this is true. And if so, like that's even worse. What a piece of shit. If he was using federal funds that were designed for like COVID relief to do these political stunts, playing with people's lives. What a piece of shit. All right, let's do this one. Supreme Court declines to hear fetal personhood case. Thank goodness. The Supreme Court declined on Tuesday to wade into the so-called, quote, fetal personhood debate, deciding not to take up the case out of Rhode Island over whether fetuses should have constitutional rights. The fact that in 2022 that this is a thing is just unbelievable to me. Unfreaking believable to me. A Catholic group, of course, according to Tulsi Gabbard, a press group, and 2 pregnant women wanted to sue on behalf of the women's unborn fetuses, but Rhode Island Supreme Court, citing Roe v. Wade, said in May that they didn't have the legal right to bring the case. The challengers urged the Supreme Court to step in and take the case after it overturned Roe in June, but the court declined to do so without comment. This court should grant the writ to finally determine whether prenatal life at any gestational age enjoys constitutional protection. But that doesn't make any sense. This is not a person. I do not get it. There's more than enough legitimate criticism of the Democratic Party, like Obama's drone king title, but they always have to go for the crazy stuff that's demonstrably false. True. True. There's like plenty of legitimate criticisms of the Democratic Party. 100%. It's just that, like, if you're gonna make a statement, and I had this argument a couple of streams ago, like, if you're gonna make a statement and you can't back it up, like, why are you saying these things? It doesn't make any sense. Like, how as a society and as a as netizens of the internet, how are we supposed to, especially like in politics, how are we supposed to move forward and like get stuff done when we can't even see, like, we can't even stand on a basis of reality, right? Like, man, whatever. Yeah, impregnated zygote equals person. Simple. True. It's that easy, folks. The issue of fetal personhood raises complicated questions regarding the rights of fetuses that could impact issues such as in vitro fertilization and child support going forward. Yep. Since the court overturned Roe earlier this year, conservative states have enforced bans either restricting the procedure or banning it outright. Yep. The idea of fetal personhood is ridiculous. Is just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense, and there's no basis for it. Because like if a zygote gets like personhood rights as these people want, do we start making laws where we prosecute people for, I don't know, like miscarriages because that's now a person? How does that work? I assume the Catholics on SCOTUS will grant personhood to sperm, much more to the point. True. That's what, yeah, might as well. Fuck it. Every sperm is sacred. True. Every sperm is sacred. True. So they think the word fetus is equal to baby out of the womb and breathing. Yeah, exactly. But they unironically say this. This is not like a secret. They literally believe that. They think that a clump of cells is equal to a person. It's life. And by life, I mean like it's considered a person, which makes no sense. But yeah, like clearly the idea would be if they could get a case where the Supreme Court would determine, like obviously they shot this case down, thank goodness. But if there was a scenario where they grant a clump of cells personhood, yeah, things get dark real quick. I mean, they already attempted to prosecute people for miscarriages. Like, what do you, if they actually have a fetal, like, constitutional rights, then it's just a matter of time. A clump of cells things gets problematic after 6 months. Yeah, but it's 6 months. That's like the last trimester, dude. That's entering the last trimester. It would be so incredibly rare to see a scenario where someone would want to, abort at that point. Like, why would you? What? That makes no sense. So I don't even know, like, why that would even be like a thing to bring up. If this was a past sex, would be like Woody Allen movie with needing contracts and lawyers prior to. True. That's exactly what it is. Maybe a person in 9 months, but it's a woman and possible motherhood for many decades. Am I mistaken? I don't know what the comparison is. They want to award constitutional rights to the fetus, which is ridiculous, right? So does the woman not have constitutional rights? Like, who supersedes who here? Like, the answer should be nobody. The answer should be the person who's here and now is the one who takes priority, right? But, you know. And, like, again, the whole abortion debate is, like, just simply whether or not you believe in bodily autonomy, whether or not you believe in whether or not you believe in self-determination. That's it. That's essentially, in a nutshell, the abortion debate, the abortion argument, right? Whether or not you believe that people have a right to bodily autonomy. That's it. That's fundamentally what you're asking. And of course, conservatives, having, if they had their way, are against people having self-determination. They are against bodily autonomy. All right, let's move on. I could use some bodily autonomy. I think we all could. Just a little bit, yeah? How's it going? Killer headache today. Sheesh. Sorry to hear that. Conservatives are against sex unless they're the ones having it. Yeah. It's about bodily autonomy, and they don't want people to have that. It's about control. Oh, yeah, hold on. I forgot about this. I listened to a pro-life Catholic on the radio. The woman doesn't even exist for them in this scenario. Exactly. Because they don't see them as people. If a woman dies in a difficult pregnancy in which the child survives, the pro-life treat the woman as nothing more than a cocoon a caterpillar sheds to become a butterfly. True, because they're not, they don't see them as people. You're right. I doubt they're thinking that far. Bible said it, or they would have heard their favorite prosperity gospel preacher, and that's it. That may be the case, but in some cases, but no, I think that they fundamentally just don't, because of religious fundamentalism. They are of the belief that the wife's purpose is only to be a birthing pod. Did you see Dennis Prager is now in favor of incest? It wouldn't surprise me. Every accusation is just a confession. Can you send me a link? DM me a link, Maple Leaf. We gotta see this. DM me a link, please. All right. I forgot about this. Hold on. Before we move on to the next one. Yes, if you can, please. All right. I forgot about this.
Recently was just photographed at one of Kanye West's fashion shows, standing side by side with him, wearing a White Lives Matter shirt.
Yeah, Dennis, the only thing that stops me from murdering and raping is fear of God, Prager. True. True.
Because that's who she is. She's now, I guess, buddy with Kanye West, who is in the midst of yet another public breakdown where he's making wild accusations, including saying Hillary Clinton broke up his marriage because she had the ear of his wife, Kim Kardashian, which is why they got a divorce. Not in the best place, I would say, as a divorced guy. Kanye West also has just increasingly had terrible politics throughout the years,
all right, hold on. Yeah,
so
here we
many
go.
layers of bullshit here that we need to thoroughly debunk it. Here she is, Candace Owens, defending her new buddy, Kanye West.
Yeah, and like, this is wild. Prager probably thinks incest between conservatives is better than conservative mating with a, quote, leftist. Yeah, probably. And the new talking point is a 16-year-old goes the same as a 37-year-old. Yeah, yes. The TLDR is there's no secular argument against incest, only a biblical one. He's trying to bait people into defending incest by jumping on it without thinking it through. Oh. Huh.
That was the tweets. And people subsequently demanded that the tweet be taken down for anti-Semitism. Now,
it was taken down for anti-Semitism. He was locked out of his account. And yes, making statements like,
we need to thoroughly debunk it. Here she is, Candace Owens, defending her new buddy, Kanye West.
Yeah, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm assuming DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Yeah, I can't actually be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jewish also. You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your agenda. Again, just this is an entire like JQ stuff right here.
that was the tweets. And people subsequently demanded that the tweet be taken down for anti-Semitism. Now, if you are an honest person, you did
Which he's not.
not think this tweet was anti-Semitic.
I mean, what? How do people listen to her and like think that she's actually correct and serious? It's like almost satirical, except she actually means that. She's actually very serious and quite frankly showing that she's completely comfortable with Kanye's anti-Semitism, which makes me think that she's completely comfortable with anti-Semitism herself. The grift is deep in this one, maybe, but I don't know. This isn't the first time she's said some really cringy shit regarding anti-Semitism and Nazism. This isn't the first time.
I do not think that he wrote this tweet because he hates or wants to genocide Jewish people.
He literally wrote like something that would be indistinguishable from like Nazi propaganda. And second of all, I would also like to point out that Ben Shapiro also defended this. And I would also like to point out that Ben Shapiro defends this, platforms this, because he still employs Candace Owens. So he absolutely is okay with this. Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire is absolutely okay with this. Because they figured out how pretty quickly inbreeding leads to deformed babies, and most people instinctively feel repulsed by their relatives, defining anti-Semitism down. Yep. I think she's a grift through and through. She's cool with anti-Semitism because her audience is. Gotcha. Okay, well, I'll accept that as an explanation. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's just that. Yeah.
This does not represent the beginning of the Holocaust. That's if you're an honest person. You'll
Pause it.
Nobody said that Kanye, that tweet was saying that a Holocaust needed to happen. The argument is that it's anti-Semitic and Kanye is anti-Semitic. Yes, both of those things are true. And she's comfortable with that.
So notice, this is when you're dealing with a dishonest person, the kind of argument that they're going to present. She exaggerates the claims that are being made by people who saw the tweet that says, I am going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is I can't actually be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew. Okay, whatever. I mean, obvious anti-Semitism.
Yeah, like
so
anybody...
then she pretends like what the left is saying and how they're dishonest is that we are claiming that he's going to start the Holocaust.
Right, which is exactly what I just said. Which is exactly what I just said. But yes, because her job is to downplay all of this and get more far right ideas accepted, and to launder them.
Right? Or maybe she says that later, but that a war is going to start over this. No one said that.
Yeah, you're only anti-Semitic if you explicitly advocate the genocide part. Damn. Yeah. I mean, isn't this like indistinguishable from like Nazi arguments, right? Isn't this indistinguishable from like how Nazis talk? Just saying.
No one said that. They said this was an anti-Semitic comment. And what honest people don't do is deliberately take out context, historical context, societal context from their readings of what people say and what something like, say, White Lives Matter means, right? You know, on its face, okay, White Lives Matter, but what is the context behind that? It's a way to discount the movement for Black lives, and they deliberately obscure that so they can maintain a racist hierarchy. And so now she's saying the bar is wanting to genocide Jewish people. No one said Kanye said that. He said an anti-Semitic comment, and that's what is being criticized here. She's talking about honesty as she completely misrepresents everything about this story within the first 15 seconds of her commentary on this.
Right. I mean, let's listen a little more because there's a specific line I want to get to from her.
Okay, cool.
Was anti-Semitic. You do not think that he wrote this tweet because he hates or wants to genocide Jewish people. This does not represent the beginning of the Holocaust. That's if you're an honest person, you'll will admit that, right? If you're an honest person, when you read this tweet, you had no idea what the hell he was talking about. I had no idea.
Bro, literally anyone who is capable of reading and understanding like basic English and politics would be like, wow, that's very anti-Semitic. That's strange.
When I read this tweet, what the hell he was talking about.
Now playing dumb.
This tweet inspired questions.
Speaking of honest people, press X to doubt. She's absolutely lying here. Okay? Aw, come on.
Hey, 99% of people with an eye.
Candace Owens, who recently
said something very anti-Semitic. You don't need the context.
Not answers. First and foremost, what is DEFCON 3? Did he mean deaf? Had no idea. When I
Candace
read this
Owens'
tweet,
mouth is always
what
10
the
steps
hell
ahead
he
of her
was talking
brain.
about.
now playing dumb.
This tweet inspired questions, not answers. First and foremost, what is DEFCON 3?
DEFCON 3.
Did he mean DEFCON 3, which would be a military defense position, not
What? Candace is sus from the word go. True. Lotto Celeste offers daughters to a mob to have their own way with, which got them severe death when Sodom and Gomorrah got destroyed. Jesus.
an offense for those of you that are offended?
Okay,
A
pause
military-
this. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What does that even
I didn't hear
mean?
that part yet. That is rich. Listen, Kanye just wants to defend himself from the Jews. He's gonna go on the offense. Okay, we need a defense system because of all the Jewish devils coming after me. I mean, listen.
Yeah, this is indistinguishable from like Nazi rhetoric. This is indistinguishable from Nazi ideology.
This is ridiculous. And everyone, if you didn't know, I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, okay, if you didn't know what he was talking about, it doesn't matter. He still said something very anti-Semitic. You don't need the context of him leaking his own DMs back and forth with P. Diddy, where P. Diddy was basically like, listen, we got to meet over like Kanye, something obviously being wrong with Kanye, and Kanye being like, I don't remember exactly what Kanye said, but it was something like, when are you going to stop letting like your Jewish masters have a hold over you or something?
So again, this isn't like a one-up thing. It's yikes.
Something like that. That was the maybe not the exact terminologies, but that was what he was saying. And of course, speaking.
Uh-oh.
Man, hole with this, where she's trying to look into the heart of Kanye West and see did example of that as humanly possible. Let's keep watching.
I had no idea when I read this tweet what the hell he was
I
talking
had
about.
no idea.
This
Yeah,
tweet
okay.
inspired questions, not answers. First
Whatever.
and foremost, what is DEFCON 3? Did he mean DEFCON 3, which would be a military defense position, not an offense for those of you that are offended, a military defense position? Is he tweeting this because he's reading the Newsweek headline calling him an anti-Semitic? Is he angry because he can't believe that he's not free to talk about people in his life who happen to be Jewish?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Whoa,
Without being
hold on,
accused
hold
of
on.
anti-Semitism? Is he saying
The simulacra points it out. It does inspire one specific question in particular. Yeah. Damn. The nail hitting the nail on the head. It does indeed. If you can summarize this commentary, I would just steal your quote. It does inspire one specific question in particular. Kanye's rhetoric, Candace Owens' defense of this rhetoric, the right wing's defense of this rhetoric, which is very telling, by the way, incredibly telling. Yeah. Yikes.
I'm not going to shut up and I'm going to keep tweeting and I'm going to keep calling these people out.
These people out? These people, like, them? Jesus Christ.
To his friends that he feels slighted by. Is he talking about Jared Kushner and Josh Kushner?
Uh-oh.
If you're a liar, you'll say, I know I was scared, Candace. I actually thought that Kanye West was going to launch a military strike in Israel. Because that's the reaction. Like when I woke up and I looked at the headlines, the reaction.
Literally nobody's inferring that. No, that's literally what nobody on Twitter was saying.
Action was like Kanye West had gotten together a military strike and it was going to go forward in the morning time in Israel. That was the reaction
Nope.
that was met with this tweet.
Nope. complete complete lie. Can we get an example of that? Is Candace a performing artist trying to make the right look bad? No, she's trying to get like Nazi rhetoric to be accepted. She's trying to downplay Nazi rhetoric and platforming it and making it seem okay on Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire platform, which is massive to millions of people. That's what Candace Owens is doing right now. I would not be surprised if Candace is an automaton. Well, grifter. Same thing. That's right. Poe's law, an adage of internet culture saying that without a clear indicator of the author's intent, every parody of extreme views can be mistaken by some readers for a sincere expression of the views being parodied. Right. It doesn't, yeah, so, like, I think the point being is that it really doesn't matter, right? The end result is the same. The end result is the same, right? It doesn't matter if she's being serious. It doesn't matter if she's believes this or not. The end result is the same. We definitely know you're not going to shut up Candace. You're the only human being I know who will not need any additional technology to have a talking grave after she passes away.
Now, once again, I want to make this very clear. This is not a defense of his tweet. This is an open question.
Wait, is this not a defense of the tweet? Then why did you spend a whole like segment doing just that? Like, holy yikes. Did we just get like gaslit in like 4K? Like, yeah, this isn't happening, by the way. What you just saw wasn't happening. Okay. Sure. What? What we just watched, by the way, didn't happen. It wasn't a defense of the tweet. Alio with the 10 biddies 2 hours ago. Thank you so much. I didn't even notice that. Was it 2 hours? No way. That I didn't even start streaming that at that point. I don't know. Whatever. Twitch is kind of being weird. Either way, thank you. Twitch like Drew. This is one of those cases where I reserve judgment and would prefer to send a psychologist over to take a good look at the man. Kanye does not seem oh yeah, he's admitted so that he has mental health issues. He's admitted so as such, and he should be speaking with a health professional 100%. But at some point, Army of Lime, you gotta assign some agency. Like, again, I said this at the beginning. Regardless, even if it is true that he's completely like diagnosed, he has a mental health disorder, bipolar, I think is what he said. It doesn't matter. Being bipolar or having this mental issue or mental disorder or whatnot doesn't make you anti-Semitic. Okay, it's not an excuse. And at some point, I'm sorry, but we gotta assign some agency here. You know, like, I mean, yeah. The point is, like, even if it is true that yes, he has a mental health issue, which I believe he self-admitted. He self-admitted has had several bouts with mental health. Has been, according to everybody and even himself that has spoken about him, multiple segments of people that have talked have said that he has had his bouts with mental health, but that doesn't make you anti-Semitic. Okay, it's like we're watching the open microphone sequence in the movie A Face in the Crowd, except these maganoids know the microphone is on and don't see a problem. Yep. Being bipolar does not take away your agency. True, and it also doesn't make you anti-Semitic. Yeah, there's really no excuse here.
Which never seems to happen anymore.
Have him on.
Like, you cannot even say the word Jewish without people getting upset.
That's not true. Wait, that's not true. What? Saying the word Jewish people or Jewish isn't the problem. That was never the issue. Who said that? Nobody has said this.
in the same way that you're not allowed to say black anymore. In
What?
the same way that if you talk about the struggles of Black Americans and you talk about the people in Black America, like Patrisse Cullors, the founder of Black Lives Matter,
What
who
does
are
this have to do?
harnessing emotions to enrich their pockets, right?
Whoa, hey, oh,
I mean,
oi.
she's just. Thank God we have you back. I was about to maybe pull a Sam and get really mad at technology, but
What does this have to do with anything? This is about Kanye.
This is so silly, right? We know what she's doing.
All right. Anyways, is there like another clip? Yeah. I completely forgot to play that. Is she out of her mind? No, she's just there because Ben Shapiro pays her to be there, and she has an audience. Yeah, she just ended up pivoting to Black Lives Matter for some reason. Okay, whatever. Nothing to do with the topic at hand. Dennis Prager.
Ultimate Issues Hour. Covering one verse in Deuteronomy. My explanation of Deuteronomy is published today. It's a big day. It doesn't happen often. There's only 5 volumes. It's a 10-year project. Numbers, I guess, will come out.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro defended her too. I mean, defended Kanye West. Okay, I think he was like, he ended up saying something to the effect of like, oh, well, I don't know about the tweet, but you know, there's nothing wrong with Kanye having like these type of values. The tweet was, a little bad, but Kanye's all right. Okay, dude. I'm guilty of the occasional rage moment where I will spout homophobic insults. I feel guilty every time, but it's imprinted in my mind when I was young. I keep trying to get rid of it, but it's difficult. So what you do is just take one step at a time. One step at a time. If you acknowledge that it's wrong, especially when it's like it doesn't even make sense, if you acknowledge that it's wrong, then you have the power to change that. I think Ben and Candace get the same scripts, probably. If you already acknowledge that it's wrong, then yeah, you keep doing and taking steps to mitigate that. That's okay. Yeah, it means you're already miles ahead of Ye. True. No, but to be in all seriousness, yeah, the fact that you can acknowledge it's wrong and you have this emotional response, we're on the right track. You know, if you understand, like somewhere in there, you're like, okay, whoa, I need to stop. I like, let me backtrack, and like, you keep going. All right, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. That is a good thing. Hello, are kids identifying as animals for real or fake news? I don't know. You tell me. You're the one that came in here and making the claim. I don't even know what that means. Can you give me like an example? What does that even mean? I'm just concerned that I'll be that old guy. Well, hey, strive not to be. You already know. So keep at it.
Maybe 2024.
All right, who cares?
Just this one verse that men shall not wear women's clothing or women men's clothing. So let's go to my motto, preferring clarity to agreement. Either the Bible's right or the left is right.
That's a false dichotomy. We're already starting off on a bad foot. That's a false dichotomy. I'm sorry. I can't stand to listen to this guy. Is it just me, or is it something like about his voice? I can't stand listening to this guy.
They can't both be right.
That's not true. Didn't he's a condescending father figure? Yeah, but like his voice just like unironically, like it puts me to sleep. It puts me to sleep. Anyways, this is a false dichotomy because like wasn't there like in the Bible like Jesus was against like the bankers or like the rich people taking advantage of the poor people, that's a leftist kind of ideology. Wasn't Jesus very like accepting of everybody, including those who the money changers in the temple? Right. Like that would be considered like we would be on the same page there, right? And Jesus like openly accepting people like the sex worker who he protected. The sex worker who he protected with the whole like, oh, if he who doesn't have sin casts the first stone or whatever, as he protected like a sex worker. Like, come on. Jesus would be a commie pinko scum like us. True. If I took psychedelics, I would definitely believe in Jesus during the ancient times. Yeah, well, what do you think the burning bush was?
That's why you can't be a serious Jew or Christian and be a leftist. You can be a liberal, you can be a conservative, but you can't be a leftist. Just on this issue alone. You just would have to say the Bible's wrong, and you're right.
Burning bush was Moses? Yeah. Sorry. I get it confused. Yeah. Jesus was crucified. I forget. The police state. Jesus was crucified because the police state came and got him. Even without psychedelics, I believe clouds and sun are enough to influence religion and spirituality. Maybe people worship different things. They worship people back then, like the I guess they would be the pagans, but like all their civilizations worship things like the sun and whatnot. Either way, religion is okay, just people use it as power. Yeah, well, I don't see a point in religion personally. And I'm super against like Christianity and all this other like the Abrahamic religions that are authoritarian, because I don't like authoritarianism. People like Dennis Prager. Not good.
The public nudity calls are interesting. Anyway, none of you have a secular argument against it, and I don't blame you for that, because there isn't any. There's no secular argument against
something like 85% of the world is religious.
Adult
True.
incest. Brother and sister want to make love. What's your argument? That they can.
What do you mean? What's the argument? Jesus was crucified because of the church state, a colonial state, by the way, collusion, and something that is still bad. Yeah, like the police state got him.
Going to produce mentally retarded offspring.
Hey!
It's nonsense. It takes many generations of
asshole
inbreeding to do that. There is no secular argument.
How? Wait, is that even? I don't even know like the science behind that. I don't know if what he's saying is actually even true.
Against adult consensual incest. There's a religious argument. Sex cannot enter family life.
But it's in the Bible too, isn't it? It's bad for genetics. Same reason we have good breeding practices with horses and dogs. Yeah, I'm saying like, but like I don't know if that statement is correct. Nor do I know. Like, wasn't there like Bible references to incest too? I don't mind a minimum of organized religion. There's a certain type of human that just seems to need to believe in something. Would be cruel to. I'm not saying to take it away from them. I'm saying that I personally don't need it, nor do I feel any type of way about it. And I do have antagonism towards people like this. I do have antagonism towards like Christianity because of its authoritarian nature. No, he's not wrong. Okay. Yeah, the story of Adam and Eve doesn't even add up without incest, right? So, how do we square that circle, or do we just cherry pick which parts we are meant to believe? Most Christians are super nice. To be fair, he's not. Fuck him. Gotcha.
It's a big taboo.
You're looking at the worst of the worst. Yeah, who are leaders and have massive influence.
See, people think that we could live without the greatest source of wisdom and morality in the history of the world, the Bible.
His whole religion is Frankenstein monstrosity, cherry picked from the parts he likes. Yeah, I mean, I would argue a lot of religion, like,
that. They don't realize
kind of
they're
like
living
that.
on the fumes of the Judeo-Christian value system. But if you ultimately extract those flowers from the soil that nurtured them, those flowers will wither and die. I don't want to see that happen. That's why I'm working so hard on this commentary.
Anyways, thank you, Dennis Prager. Wonderful insight. Bible, the greatest source of what? Nothing. They're not nothing. Okay. Dubious at best. Railroad workers' rejection of new contract revives strike fears. Fears of a disruptive rail strike are roaring back to life less than a month after President Biden took a highly visible victory lap for averting a pre-election economic meltdown. No strike will happen before the end of the so-called cooling-off period in the late November after the midterms, and negotiations are continuing between the freight railroad industry and a dozen unions. But one labor organization vote this week to reject a contract with the railroads threatens to undo the White House effort to avoid a strike, an effort that includes a compromise the administration brokered on September 15th. The upshot is that the railroads could again be weeks away from work stoppage that would halt 40% of the nation's freight traffic, imperiling Americans' food, drinking water, and electric supplies, as well as the holiday shopping season. Oh no. Oh. The strike threat is yet another burden for an economy weighed down by inflation and fears of recession. It's also a sign that the Biden administration's work to prevent a strike may have merely delayed it, as rail employees' anger continued to simmer over what they say are onerous, punishing, and even inhumane working conditions. If you don't solve these, why do people make fun of Christians and not Muslims? How many Christians are here? You best believe that if there was like a massive movement of like Muslim fundamentalism, I would have the exact same commentary. So I don't know what you're getting at. Like these extreme like Muslim fundamentalists, I would have the exact same commentary. What's your deal? The Brotherhood of Maintenance. So what I was saying is that, like, if you don't resolve these issues, they're going to strike. They're going to strike. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm very, very unknowledgeable. I'm very ignorant when it comes to how things are in other countries. So, yeah, of course. I don't know what that means. What the Biden administration needs to be doing is telling these railroad companies that they need to fix these conditions, okay? So that the railroad workers don't strike. The only thing that the Biden administration, the only thing the Biden administration needs to focus on is getting the railroad companies to give workers what they need. no, we need better conditions. It's not, I mean, in this context, if you want public transportation, if you want to talk about public transportation, yes, we need more trains. The Brotherhood of Maintenance of Ways employees, the nation's third largest rail union, announced Monday that its members had voted down the tentative agreement its leadership reached with the railroad September 10th. Any one of the dozen railroad unions can trigger a strike because none of the others would cross a picket line. For consumers, the result would be empty shelves and delayed shipments. Oh no, during the time of year they rely on them the most. Passenger rail systems around the country, including many Amtrak routes, were also gearing up to shut down before negotiations prodded by the Biden administration yielded a tentative deal mid-September. It's a trade union principle that if a railroad union goes on strike, other railroad unions honor that strike, said Peter Kennedy, who directs strategic coordination and research at BMW. At this point, reaching a new tentative agreement seems dubious at best. Think of the capitalism, oh no. Bro, have you talked about Hunter Biden's laptop? True, that's the only thing we talk about in this channel. We're gonna get to the bottom of this right now, Memo. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get to the bottom of Hunter Biden's laptop. The true, important news that needs to be addressed. Truly, the mystery of the century. Somebody get the Scooby-Doo gang on this. I hope you're well. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing all right. They asked, did they ask Biden or did they ask like the press secretary about like investigations into like Hunter Biden? Like, okay, dude. Okay. On that note, I'm getting fresh bong water. Nice. I heard that SecFug uses Microsoft Edge. Oh no. Now that is the crime of the century. You want to talk about the scandal of the century. If we open up that laptop and we find Microsoft Edge as a default browser, I don't know how the Biden crime family is going to recover from that from those allegations. I just don't know. Others involved in the situation were more cautious, at least publicly are. One union rejection does not mean we face an immediate rail shutdown. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said at Tuesday's briefing, "We stand ready to assist at any time," but added that this is not unusual. The White House had devoted considerable power to the effort to find a deal that included the establishment of a presidentially appointed board of arbiters that earlier this year recommended the proposed contract language, which railroads quickly embraced. But three unions still had not reached a deal ahead of a possible strike deadline last month, prompting Labor Secretary Marty Walsh and other members of Biden's cabinet to help forge an agreement that finally came together in the middle of the night. Biden praised that deal in the Rose Garden celebration as a win for tens of thousands of rail workers. The contract that BMWE members voted down this week was negotiated prior to that dramatic September 15th meeting and did not include some additional concessions that some unions won at that time. Those unions have yet to vote on their proposed deal. Any one union that rejects its contract threatens the fragile peace that Biden and his team helped engineer. Congress retains the ability to intervene if a strike appears imminent, in which case lawmakers could impose the management-embraced recommendations of a presidentially appointed emergency board that weighed in on the dispute earlier this year. Yikes. The sticking point continues to be not the pay, but the benefits amid complaints from railroad workers that the freight industry's drive to cut costs is ruining employees' quality of life through unpredictable scheduling and unrealistic attendance policies, which, again, give the workers what they want, and that's it. Fuck. The first round of tentative agreements, including just one additional paid day off for workers when unions had originally pushed for 5. The presidentially appointed emergency board recommendations did not address the quality of life issue. Again, if they don't, all of this comes apart because it's not about, it has nothing to do with like the pay. It's about the conditions and paid time off and scheduling. If you don't fix that, then you're going nowhere. That's the power U.S. politicians want to... What are you talking about? What are you on about? Number one issue for all unions have been time off, said Arthur Wheaton, a Cornell University labor professor and former AFS-CME union official, adding that the policy was only very minorly tweaked under the deal reached last month. Even after railroads offered some concessions, there's still a very restrictive attendance policy. There's little indication that that could change. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Worker District Lodge 19, which voted down its tentative agreement before the White House brokered the deal, had already produced a new proposal, yet none of the changes touch on time off. Do you have what? Any conservative youth or 100% progressive leftists? I don't know what the point of this question is. Do I have a conservative view? Probably not. Probably not. I don't find conservatism appealing. I find conservatism very deeply disturbing. We've seen no willingness on the part of railroads to go beyond the recommendations of Presidential Board, and our members are screaming, hey, we need paid sick days. I'm pro-LGBT, but also like our gun laws. Okay, but that's not like a conservative, like, pro-gun isn't like a conservative thing. You know that, right? There are some everyone agrees with, like serial killers and pedos need to be hunted down and imprisoned. Jesus. I do think they need to be removed from society. Hunted down seems like a bit much. But yes, they need to be removed from society, imprisoned. Yeah. I don't know what this has to do with like conservatism versus leftism. Okay. Anyways. There's little indication that could change. The International Association of Machinists. Oh yeah, we went over this. We see no willingness on the part of the railroads to go beyond the recommendations of the Presidential Board, and our members are screaming, hey, we need paid sick days. 4 unions have voted to ratify this so far. At this point, we've had more unions ratified than did not ratify, said Greg Regan, who heads the AFL-CIO Transportation Trade Department. Well, there's certainly a number of workers who are just very angry for obvious reasons. Others are certainly not 100% thrilled, but are satisfied. I'm just saying it's okay to be more centered. Don't always got to stay with the tribe. I don't know what that means. Okay. But the results from 6 others are still pending, including 2 of the holdouts that keep negotiators at the labor board overnight last month. And some people familiar with the conversation predict that results like BMWE vote will make it more difficult for leaders of those to sell the contract to their members. It's not a good thing when one union fails to ratify a contract that's part of a larger pattern and calls out an issue that is very big. That is a very big issue for 2 other unions that have not yet ratified, former Deputy Labor Secretary Seth Harris said. He added that the leaders of the sheet, metal, air, rail, and transportation workers, Transportation Division, and Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen, 2 of the unions that were last to reach tentative agreements, will have some more explaining to do. The rail carriers involved estimate that a strike could cost the U.S. more than $2 billion a day. Oh no. And do so just as inflation begins to taper off. Any work stoppage would touch on nearly every facet of American life, risking empty grocery store shelves, starving livestock, coalless power plants, and drinking water plants without crucial chemicals for eradicating contaminants. So, like, capitalism is dependent on this. On right now, this whole thing is hinging on whether or not these greedy railroad companies want to provide like basic things for workers, like paid sick leave, like proper paid sick leave, proper scheduling, and proper conditions. Unreal. Unfreaking real. Even the threat of this upcoming strike is enough to really hurt Democrats at the polls for now, because everybody thought that this was done. They thought it was over. Yeah, but like, again, why? What? I feel like it's weird to just lay the blame on the political party when in reality the problem here is the railroad companies. It's the capitalist railroad companies. That's the problem here. Nonetheless, I mean, Joe Biden could at very least be out there showing his support to the workers and saying these greedy railroad companies need to get it together and give, and treat their workers properly. That's what Joe Biden needs to be doing, because that would put pressure on the companies. If the president of the United States lends his support to the workers and is firmly on the side of the workers, that puts a lot of pressure on the railroad companies. It's a lot for Joe Biden to handle. What, to show support for the workers? All he has to do, because I don't know legislatively wise, I don't know how much power he has in this scenario, but what he could be doing is saying firmly, I stand with the workers, I stand with the railroad workers. These greedy railroad companies need to get their stuff together, get their ish together, treat their workers right, and I stand firmly with them. That would be huge. I would say even just doing that. All these damn corporations think giving people the means to live for their lives equals instant bankruptcy. Yeah, it is BS. He's not good at multitasking. I don't know. This is a feature of capitalism, not a bug in the system. True. He does a lot of... It's probably taxing mentally and physically. Maybe, but, a word of support. Since he worked so hard to get this deal, he could at the very least be out there saying and making PR campaigns with ads, or just literally making a statement saying, I firmly stand with the railroad workers, and it's the corporations who need to pony up. I don't think he forgot about it, given that the midterms are in less than a month, or next month. Okay? Yeah. All right, we finally got this. Okay, cool. The U.S. Treasury probing misuse of federal funds for DeSantis migrant flight. The U.S. Treasury is investigating whether Florida Governor DeSantis improperly used federal funds to pay for the flights transporting migrants from Texas to Massachusetts. The department confirmed in a letter to U.S. lawmakers on Wednesday. The Republican governor took credit for flying about 50 migrants, last month to the island of Martha's Vineyard off the coast of Massachusetts in a move intended to draw more attention to the rising crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border ahead of the November 8th elections. That's the investigation. The simulacra. That's the investigation. That's what the purpose of the investigation is. So this piece of shit, allegedly, is under investigation for using federal funds that were supposed to be for COVID aid, to pull off this stunt while playing with people's lives. Yeah. Democrats and migrant rights advocates decried the move, as well as a campaign by Texas and Arizona that busts thousands of migrants to cities including Washington, D.C., New York, and Chicago as using people as political pawns. DeSantis, who's up for re-election in November, is also seen as a potential 2024 White House contender, said the flights were organized to call attention to Democratic President Joe Biden's, quote, immigration policies. Democratic Senator Ed Markey and other federal lawmakers from Massachusetts sent a letter to the Treasury shortly after the flight, asking to examine whether DeSantis used interest from federal COVID loans to pay for the flights. The Treasury has asked for more details on how Florida used money obtained or derived from a fund intended to support states during the COVID outbreak, according to a response to the lawmakers from Richard Delmar, a deputy inspector general for the department. Investigators will rule on whether Florida used interest from the fund for the flights and whether this is permitted. Delmar saying they will get this work underway as quickly as possible. DeSantis' office did not immediately reply to a Reuters request for comment. In a statement on Wednesday, Markey said that he applauded the department's swift response for the sake of migrants who were lured into charter planes under false pretenses and under commendable Commonwealth residents who rallied together to offer support. I hope that this investigation sheds light on whether Governor DeSantis misused funds that were intended for COVID relief for Floridians. A Texas sheriff last month opened a criminal investigation into these flights. Yeah, we will see just how much involved here DeSantis was in essentially using funds. Should find out how much and deduct it from Ian recovery funds. I don't know if I want to do that. But it certainly would be to illustrate hypocrisy. Seeing a Republican governor use these federal funds. Using state money is bad. Same for campaign funds. Abolish Florida, make it a national park. True. No problem. I think I will. Brings up an interesting point, though. There should be as many migrants in Alaska and Bel Air as there are in New Mexico. Fair is fair. Yeah, I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just to use political. It's just to use people as political pawns. Yeah, not the point he was trying to make. Fair is fair is like some kind of punishment for hardship. Yep. Nothing to do with what they're doing here. Abolishing things. I don't know what that is in reference to. Okay. Anyways, would there be any like illegality if they use like funds that they were not supposed to touch? Or is that kind of just a wash? Who knows? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that, Vanquish Platinum. And now my chat is gone. Okay, that's fine. Well, the internet lasted the entire stream, folks, because we made it to 7:30. We made it to 7:30, folks. We made it to 7:30, and we got through all of the headlines. We'll see what happens with the railroad workers. And we'll keep up with these stories as well. All right, folks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button like Vanquish Platinum did. You get 5 free emotes, including Bakita the cat. I do have to get going. I'm incredibly tired. And it's time for me to get some rest and some dinner. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you all. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate that. Folks, if you do have a moment, please consider going to the YouTube channel, hitting the subscribe button. It really does help us out. It's just quick, easy peasy. Hit the big red button. It really does mean a lot. Thank you for your support. And of course, spread the word far and wide. This is the chillest place to be for the news, for the politics, Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So join us. Tell everybody that you know. It really does help us out. And I appreciate that. Let me see. I don't know. It should work, but I guess the link isn't working. No? Okay. I'll give it one more chance. There we go. No? Anyways. Head on over to our YouTube channel. I'll post it in chat. I can do that myself. Make sure you subscribe and to the YouTube channel. I'll go to my channel and I'll just post the link right there. Boom. Easy peasy. Hit the big red subscribe button. It really does help us out. Twitch chat seems to be down. Yeah, I see that. Wow, I'm so glad I have YouTube. Wow. I'm so glad I have YouTube. Because Twitch chat is not working. TY. Thank you, up in your face. Or YouTube. YT, maybe. YouTube up in the face. In my face. All over my face. I don't know. Anyways. Not just yours, but all the Twitch chat is gone. Wow. Geez. Well, even more of a reason to subscribe to the YouTube channel, folks. Okay. I'll just forward it there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If anything ever happens, you can always just head on over there. Spread the word far and wide as always, please, folks. We're getting ready to head out. Please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya! Thank you guys, I appreciate it. Oh shoot. Alright, so yeah, nothing in Twitch is working, folks, so we can't even raid. We'll give it one more shot. Alright, here we go. Hang tight, everybody, we're heading out. Yeah, looks like chat is back. Hang tight, everybody, hang tight. Alright, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.